Welcome to the remote version of SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out as you always do. Yeah, we're starting about 4 minutes early. We're here till 9:30, so it's a power hour, and I apologize for the lack of makeup. It is a Thursday Thoughts, and we're kind of flying through this one because at 10 o'clock, atlutd.com/live, it is the Atlanta United media game. I've got your teams, and I guess this technically will be opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. You see Black Pitch Coffee all around Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Thank you, Alex. And we've got basically, here's the show. It is getting you ready for the media game, 10 o'clock. Once again, atlutd.com/live. We're going to take a look at Leagues Cup from last night. We've got a bunch of highlights. Morning, Abby. And also, we've got to take a peek at what's going on in the colleges. Women's soccer kicked off on a lot of different places last night. We've got your morning mashup there. And we're also going to catch up with Mercer men's head coach Brad Ruzzo. And they're getting ready for their season. They actually have a match tomorrow morning at 10 on campus. Stetson gets to visit Mercer. And it's an opportunity for Mercer to kind of get their season up and running. So it'll be a chance to catch up with Coach Ruzzo. It's going to be a look at what happened in the colleges last night. We got your highlights there and a bunch of Leagues Cup stuff. We'll get you ready for your day. Tomorrow, it looks like it's going to be Diego Pezzolano from Football de Primera and Apple TV. He's going to be joining us at kickoff. It's probably going to be in an airport someplace. I think we're going to have Michael Parkhurst or Greg Garza in Beyond Goals. That's going to be at 9:30. We'll get you ready for the weekend. 10:15 should be Danny Higginbotham, and we'll talk fantasy football and whatever else I have on my mind. Danny was the one who actually convinced me to trade Justin Herbert for Jalen Hurts in my fantasy league. So that's what we'll talk to Danny about. Plus, he has the Nashville and Messi and Friends match, and we'll get into that with them and with Diego as well. We'll talk World Cup with Diego. It'll be Diego's first time on the show. So tomorrow, Diego Pezzolano, I think Michael Parkhurst or Greg Garza. It'll be getting you ready for the weekend in Major League Soccer, your Atlanta United preview, and it'll be Danny Higginbotham joining us tomorrow. That'll be the show from 9 until we're done. So that is the rundown for tomorrow. So today, opening kickoff is the 73rd annual media match with Atlanta United personnel and with the local media, Morning Dell, Morning Abby. So I have the teams for those of you who will be watching at 10 o'clock. The managers, head coaches, whatever you wish to prefer, Brad Gazan and Greg Garza. So that's who we have. And I've got my rosters here. I'll be on the sidelines for this one. Mike and Jason will be upstairs calling the match as they always do. So Team Gazan, Elsa Barrio Nuevo from La Mejor, Pablo Borges from PP12, Juan Carlos Brando from Conexión Deportiva, Georgia Chambers from Fox 5, Andrew Clark from ISI, Cody Dallas from Channel 46, Rafa de los Santos from Channel 5, Yusti Diaz from Univision, Yvette Gaona from La Mejor. Abe is on Team Gazan. Chris Henderson is with Abe. I'm sorry. Connor Hines from Channel 46. Sam Jones from Five Stripe Final. Danilo Linares from Conexión Deportiva. Allison Mastrangelo. Tyler Pilgrim. Jose Prosopio from Latin Goles. Lee Smith from Channel 46. And Julian Virgin from WABE Radio 90.1. So that's Team Gazan. Barrio Nuevo, Borges, Brando, Chambers, Clark, Dallas, De Los Santos, Diaz, Gaona, Gordon, Abe, Chris Henderson, Connor Hines, Sam Jones, Danilo Linares, Mastrangelo, Pilgrim, Prosopio, Lee Smith, and Julian Virgin. So that gets you through Team Gazan. Team Garza, that's where all the SDHers are. Nick, Maddie, and Sophia are on the Team Garza, along with Felipe Cardenas of The Athletic, Reggie Chapman from 11 Alive, Chris Cole from Channel 46, David Hickox from WSB. Juan Jordan from Sports Venezuela, Chris McCulley from Channel 46, Joe Patrick from Five Stripe Final, Jackson Popkin, Scarves and Spikes, Victor Prieto from Fox 5, Gilberto Ramirez from Estadio Sports, Joey Rogers from Channel 46, Jesus Saiz from Univision, Jose Silva, the head coach of the Twos, Dave Williamson, and Daniel and Mia Zamaron from La Mejor. So Team Garza, Alifi, Cardenas, Chapman, Cole, Cruz, Cupertino, Hickox, Jordan, McCulley, Patrick Popkin, Prieto, Ramirez, Rogers, Saiz, Silva, Williamson, Zamaron, and Zamaron. So that's your lineups. No, Dale, I'm on the sidelines for this one. I'm on the sidelines. So I will be, Mike and Jason are upstairs, and I'll be basically harassing people on the sidelines when they mess up. So that'll be, yes, make sure that you all stretch. Abby's absolutely true. So that's your lineups. Once again, 10 o'clock, atlutd.com/live. And that is your opening kickoff to prepare you for what's going to happen in about an hour and 28 minutes here at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. And that's why we're here this morning for the broadcast of the morning show. All right. That was opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Made from beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy-bodied, rich, world-class finish. We bring you the top stories of the day, and we bring them to you one way, opening kickoff, and that is with the Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. I may kind of go along here and just go ahead and go with a hydration break brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores, Mazel Tov, and 2 locations in the Atlanta area, Johns Creek, and at the corner of Cumberland and Cobb Parkways. They have been great friends with us here in 2026, and their stores are huge. You're going to be the king of the impulse buy, and people will love you for it. You're going to go in thinking, okay, I have a very short list. You're going to leave, and you're going to be with a car stacked full of stuff. Dell wants to know where I am. I am in a conference room at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. So I am tucked away in a place where they can keep an eye on me, and I don't burn the place down. And so at about 9:30, I will be leaving here and heading out to the field and getting ready for the broadcast on that side of things. So it is me here till about 9:30 indoors, and then I go outdoors, and 10 o'clock it'll be over to Field 3 with the media match. So that was why opening kickoff was what it was. So, yeah, it was smart until you got into the rush hour traffic. So it was interesting leaving the normal studio and coming here this morning, having to fight Atlanta rush hour traffic. That was always fun. It always is fun. No, it's not. So it is Team Garza, Team Gazan, and that one is at 10 o'clock, atlutd.com/live. All right, last night, it is a boatload of things that happened in Leagues Cup. And so we're going to go over all of that happened last night. And it was, if I could spell, you had, going into last night, you legitimately had only 2 teams in Major League Soccer eliminated from the knockouts. And remember, it is the top 4 in each league that make their way through to the round of 8 and so on. So Liga MX had, going into last night, 7 teams chasing after 4 slots, and only 2 teams from Major League Soccer had been eliminated, and they were all chasing after anything and everything that happened last night. So it was chaos personified for the second night in a row. It's match day 2 for match 3, if that makes any sense. It's the second day of the third match day, was last night. Tonight is the last day of the last match day, and then we'll find out who, with math probably on the MLS side, who makes it from the Final Four on the MLS side, who makes it from the Final Four on the Liga MX side. So as we go into what happened last night, all of our highlights, once again, thanks to our friends at Leagues Cup and Apple TV. And let me make sure that I have that down so that way it can be properly fonted when I play all these highlights. Leagues Cup and Apple TV. Okay, so I actually spelled it right. All right, so here's what went down last night, and we'll roll through all of it for you. It was, where is it? See, and this is the one thing about the website. It's like, I'm trying to sit here and look at what happened, and I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to make sure I know what's going on. All right, last night, Orlando, ranked number 19, going up against Atletico San Luis, who was ranked at number 33, and you had your moments there. Actually, yeah, let me do that. Now, that'll work, so that way I can go and look at other things. So it was one of those matches that was back and forth all the way through, and it was Evan Weston and Dax McCarty on the call. And they were both wondering why Tomas Griezmann was as unselfish as he was late in the match with Orlando up 2-1. It came back to bite him. Here's what happened late at 90+7. Once again, courtesy of our friends, Leagues Cup and Apple TV.
Referee Garcia letting San Luis play on. It's Cruz heading towards Rodriguez. Rodriguez tucks it down. Rodriguez! That is insane! David Rodriguez on the final play after Orlando went way up the field, and it's 2-2!
My hands are on my head right now. I can't believe what we just witnessed on one end of the field. Not once, but twice with Antoine Griezmann not going for goal.
There you go. That was the call that evened it up at 2. Orlando would win it in PKs 5-3 to get the extra point, but that would be how it got to 2-2, and that was how it got to PKs. So it was a long night for Orlando City as they end up having to get into PKs and get the win, get the extra point in PKs. Then it was Leon and Miami. Leon goes in, and they were ranked. First off, they were at the top of the table in Liga MX. They were ranked 28, and they go up against Miami, who was ranked at number 7. And it was, once again, back and forth and crazy, especially in the final, say, 30 minutes or so. And you end up with this moment late in the matchup with Miami and Leon. It's 30 minutes to go. It was 2-1 Miami, and then it wasn't. Once again, League Cup.
Ivan Moreno down under the challenge. Referee not the slightest bit interested. Noah Allen can clear. Falls over to the far side. Another opening here for Club Leon. It's a fabulous goal. Such a wonderfully taken finish from Dominguez, the midfielder. Part of the Toluca side that won it all back in 2025 has now given Club Leon a pathway back into the realm of relevance. 2-2 with half an hour to play.
Leon have been so much more aggressive in the second half, did not have a shot on target in the first half, and it's a poor giveaway from Miami. They push forward.
Pinter and Yannick Bright scored for Inter Miami. Arcila gets his brace in the 83rd. Leon gets the win in full points by the final of 3-2. So Miami needed full points, and they did not get them in that matchup last night in Leagues Cup. So now we continue rolling through the early matches. And after what happened with Inter Miami and with Leon down at New Stadium, we go to Geodis. Monterrey, ranked number 11. Nashville, ranked number 16. This one is Jake Ziven, Taylor Twallman, Leagues Cup and Apple TV. Actually, since I'm left-handed, I'll do it that way. Leagues Cup and Apple TV. It was 1-1 until 90+1. And this is what happened. Monterrey scored.
Fimbres, big switch. Diego Rossi scored a late game winner on Saturday. Rossi looking. Ocampos! Kuipers! Monterrey lives in the 2026 Leagues Cup. Hugo Kuipers in added time. His third straight game with a goal for Rayados. Monterrey lead 2-1.
What did I tell you in the 72nd minute? He's the only center forward that needs one chance in this game. Brilliant. Difficult finish, too. You've put in 92 minutes of hard work, running, chasing. Ball is a little bit behind you. Ocampos lays it off.
And that would be your game winner. 2-1 the final with Monterrey and Nashville. Ugo Kuipers gets the goal at 90+2. Toluca and FC Dallas at Estadio Nemesio Diaz. Chris Whittingham, Lori Lindsay on the call. It was 1-0 from the spot. Vega in the 8th, and then Peter Musa in the 9th. And this one went all over the place before it finally ended up in the back of the net.
Go quickly the other way. Johansson in towards Musa, who's wrestling to try and get to that ball. Will be clear as far as Ka'ike from long distance. It takes a deflection, and Dallas have one back. Musa will claim it. The unlikeliest of equalizers. Less than a minute after conceding, Dallas on terms.
Well, just incredible. And it's a direct play that's caught Toluca out. Feeling totally confident with the way that they started this game in the first 10 minutes, taking the lead, and then just seconds later. And I was just about to make the point that Dallas is going to have to take their chances when they get them. Be direct, see if you can force the issue a bit against Toluca. Here's Musa just tracking 3 defenders, but then the second phase right here, just to keep the ball alive, a fortunate bounce off of Musa, finds his way into the back of the net. It's Luis Garcia going one way. Just watch the goalkeeper for Toluca, gets offset at the last second, and then the bounce from Musa finds it in the other corner. What an
Vega from the spot in the 8th, Musa in the 9th. Viñas scores at 45+2. Gutierrez scores in the second half. Toluca knocks off FCD by the final of 3-1. Then you get into the matches that were later and later, and you end up not quite with MLS After Dark, but it was pretty close. And you start off with San Diego FC and Puebla. San Diego goes into this matchup as team, once again, things have to load so I can get my rankings. Team 8 going up against team 36 in Puebla. And it was a goal early on that got San Diego FC moving. And in this one, it is Neil Secret, Kendra D. St. Aubin, courtesy of our friends, once again, Leagues Cup and Apple TV.
Kick for San Diego. Puebla's been prone on set pieces and pretty much everything in their defensive penalty area in this competition. Tverskov put it on the welcome mat, and it's hammered in. Osvaldo Stui, the Dane, and a great finish to the top corner.
Sometimes it's just opportunity, being in the right place at the right time, and a little bit of a smile on his face. Just gets the deflection on the way through. A great set piece. Look at them.
Kendra and Neil Sika on that one. So Sui gets the goal to give San Diego FC the lead. Velasco scores in the 30th to even it up. Then it all shuts down until about 15 to go. Vasquez scores in the 76th. Dagger Dan Thorhalson scores with 10 to go, and then Mustre scores in the 87th to make it 3-2. San Diego gets the win in that one, and they end up with full points. Then you had another handful of matches after this one. And then, like I said, after we go through last night, we'll give you the standings and get you ready for match day last and lay it all out for you. It was Querétaro and LAFC. LAFC ranked number 10, Querétaro ranked number 31. This one at BMO Stadium. And this one, Keith Costigan and Mo Adu early on. LAFC was trying to make sure that everyone would sit in their seats for a bit. Querétaro on the board first.
About very talented youngster, plays it out wide, the cross comes in, and Porches again wins it. Duarte goes for goal! Maurice spills it! Avila finishes! The striker just in the right place at the right time, and he couldn't miss. A shock lead early on here for Querétaro.
Shock lead indeed. And if you're Hugo Lloris, you're going to watch this one back and feel like you could have done better with the save. There's a really speculative shot from distance. LAFC doing their best to try to clear their lines. No one's able to get enough pressure to the ball. And when that shot comes from Duarte from distance, Hugo Lloris, can he parry that a little bit wider? Instead, he puts it right back into a dangerous area. And you got to give credit to Avila. His reactions are sharpest. It falls very, very kindly for the striker. And he gets his first goal.
And then you end up with 1-1. Denny Boanga scores with about 30 to go. They go to PKs. LAFC gets the win 5-3 in PKs. So LAFC gets the extra point. Then the late game, the late game in this one was, if everything would cooperate for me so I could look. It just wants to scroll all the way to the top every single time. Chivas over Seattle by the final of 2-1. Seattle ranked 15, Chivas ranked 21st. And in this one, it was an unceremonious end for Seattle. Senna scores in the 13th, but then Chivas scores with 2 goals in the second half in the 61st and the 72nd. So Team 21 advances over Team 15. So let's take a peek at the standings and get you ready for today. 5 matches, and it is once again stuff that's going to be broken down here. Let me change my numbers because it's decimal, and I don't know how to quite create decimal numbers and looking at money lines. So finally converted that over for you. So it is the going in once again. It was an evening, if I could get my upper plate to work, where you had 7 teams in 4 spots on the Liga MX side. All but 2 teams had been eliminated on the MLS side. So here is what it looks like. Right now, Liga MX side, León is in with 9 points. They're 3 for 3. Toluca is in with 6 points, and they are also in the barn. America and Cruz Azul right now are teams 3 and 4, but they play tonight. Monterrey is south of the bar. They've played their 3 matches. They're at 6 points. They're behind right now in goal difference. So they would be out, and Juarez is the other team that has to kind of keep an eye out on America and Cruz Azul tonight. So it is 6 teams, 4 spots. León and Toluca are in. America, Cruz Azul are in at the moment, and Monterrey and Juarez are watching those 2 games tonight. On the MLS side, we now have a lot more folks who have been eliminated. So you have 5, 6, 9 teams that have been eliminated. So half the field has been eliminated in the MLS side. Right now, Columbus, 8 points, they've advanced. RSL has advanced. They have 7 points in 3 matches, but they have to play on the road in their round of 8 matchup. LAFC has 7 points. They are in the barn. Austin, if things ended right now, would be team number 4. Chicago plays tonight. They're at 6 points. Charlotte is in the barn at 6 points. They're done. They have to watch. Cincinnati, Dallas, San Diego, Orlando, Minnesota, Nashville, Miami, Seattle, and Vancouver are all out. So what we do know below the playoff bar, keep an eye on Chicago tonight. Charlotte is watching. Portland is playing tonight. Philly and New York City are playing tonight. And so that's where it is. So if it ended today, Columbus and RSL, we know they're in. LAFC and Austin are in right now, keeping an eye on the teams, the 5 teams below the playoff bar that are playing tonight in Major League Soccer. Philadelphia hosting Santos Laguna, and that one is at 7 o'clock, so basically 7:10. Philadelphia minus 233, Santos Laguna plus 483, and your draw is a plus 350. NYCFC and Necaxa, that one is at 740. NYC is a minus 152. Draw is a plus 290. Necaxa is a plus 337. Then at 8:40 at Q2, Club America Team 3 taking on Austin FC Team 24. Club America favored, but on the plus side at a plus 110. Draws a plus 222. Austin FC is a plus 231. Cruz Azul at SeatGeek in Bridgeview playing as the home team going up against Chicago Fire. It is Team 4 against Team 18. Cruz Azul, slight favorite. Right now in the composite at a plus 165. Draws a plus 204. Fire a plus 167. And then the late game at Providence Park. Portland, Team 26, taking on Tijuana at Team 27. This one's Apple TV, Unimas, and FS1. And Portland is favored on the minus side at a minus 112. Draws a plus 272. And Tijuana is a plus 242. So that's your rundown of everything Leagues Cup. Let's see. Alex, do I use a second monitor for the laptop when I'm on the road? And this might be part of my answer. Tablet. So I've got the tablet and I've also got my phone. So yeah, I've got like 19 different things going on at the same time. So tablet, phone, and laptop that I kind of have to keep an eye out and look for. All right, so that's your Leagues Cup breakdown. And once again, big stuff going on today. 5 matches. We get to see who the final teams are. 5 teams south of the playoff bar right now in Major League Soccer, and it's 2 teams, so it's 7 teams chasing after 4 spots in the Liga MX side. And so we'll know our answers after tonight, and we'll talk about it all again tomorrow. All right, it is time to catch you up on everything going on in the colleges. And it was day number 1 of college stuff officially. And so what we did is we kind of give you a bit of a mashup with the teams that we saw going on yesterday. So this is a combination of Mercer, Georgia it's West Georgia, and Georgia State. So here's what happened in 3 minutes and 20 seconds with the college action yesterday, stuff here in the footprint, courtesy of our friends all over the place. But mainly, if we just sit here and say the head end, why don't we just go ahead and say that it's on ESPN Plus, where we got most of the highlights, and on SWAC TV. So here's your rundown of what happened yesterday, your college mashup.
Whitaker able to play it ahead, but a nice turnover here. Shot coming over the hand and in. A shocker of one put on over the hand of Holmberg.
Good presence from the keeper, or from the forward there, to know where the keeper was. Nice, easy chip up and over. We saw a similar play from Jack State earlier, but called offside. Not so fortunate for the Gamecocks on this one, as you see the nice little chip up and over. Finds the back of the net, and the Gamecocks are left 1-0, looking to get the ball at the back of the net.
Looked like that was Rachel Higgins.
Beautiful control. Great shot from good distance out. Holmberg just caught off her line.
Celebrations for Noemi Cacique down on that. A little bit of a contact as we had a body fly.
Cathy, another takeaway for the Eagles. Casey down midfield. Brazunas. See the patience here. Big difference here for the freshman compared to being aggressive anytime she got the ball. Cathy, long shot, and she scores! Paisley Cathy in the upper right corner, and the Eagles lead 2-1 with 6 minutes to play. The sophomore went top shelf to put the Eagles up.
Paisley Cathy, top shelf where no Osprey can get it. Great outside shot, keeping it up in the air. And getting Miliancano to get off of her line and put the Eagles up here at home with 6 remaining.
You have one of the best goal scorers in the Sun Belt in Leah Fadul. A second try for her on this penalty kick. Sydney Bollinger on the foul for UAB. 2:14 to go in the opening half. This is a big opportunity for Georgia State. Kick is into the back of the net.
Yeah, great goal. Good job. Fantastic ball in. Excellent. Georgia State has deserved a goal. They've created some opportunities. They gave up the 2 goals, but they just stayed with it. And again, very good shot. High, well taken, struck well.
Actually, pretty good recognition
goal
by Parsons as far as where the ball was going. Just better execution from the veteran Fadul.
Yeah, great, very, very good goal. And again, Georgia State just stayed with it and has created some opportunities. And that was definitely a penalty kick. And the ball that got played in to a dangerous situation. And here she is again.
Here's Fadul getting past her defender. Almost the same spot in the field.
She's open.
First half, good pass, and in the back of the net is quickly, just like that. The Georgia State Panthers tie it up.
Great goal, coming again from the left side, down the left flank. Great ball across, far side wide open.
So to recap the results from yesterday, it was a heat index of 108. In Jackson, Mississippi yesterday. Mercer gets 2 goals on the board, and they get a 2-0 lead at Jackson State. They go on to beat Jackson State by the final of 2-1 yesterday afternoon. Then it was Jack State and West Georgia in Jacksonville, Alabama. That was a 1-1 draw on the Golazo from Cacique, and Jacksonville State comes back with the equalizer. That one finished up 1-1. Kennesaw State started their season, number 21 Memphis Memphis got the Duke there 2-0. And you heard the highlights from Georgia State. Georgia State was down 2-0 against UAB, came back 2 goals in 20 seconds, one from the spot. Fadul with a goal and an assist. They went to tie it at 2-2, and then they would give up 2 goals in the second half, and 4-2 would be the final score. UAB at PNC Field would beat Georgia State, and that would be the rundown there. And that's what we're going to try and do every time out when there are match days like this. We're going to try and come up with a mashup of all the teams we can find in the footprint. And if there's a match that we missed, let us know, and we'll catch you up there in just a little bit. And since we're in the colleges, here's where we get to catch up with the men's head coach at Mercer. We caught up with Tony Economopoulos on the women's side. Now it's time to catch up with Brad Ruzzo on the men's side as they get ready for their matchup tomorrow morning at 10. If you're in Middle Georgia near the Mercer campus, you can have brunch with the Bears. Breakfast with the Bears, brunch with the Bears, depending. And it is Stetson coming to town to catch up with Mercer. And here's our conversation that we had with head coach Brad Ruzzo as they get ready for the 2026 season. And it should be another fun one on the men's side in the SoCon. Here's our conversation. So my first question that I always like to ask coaches heading into new seasons is, when you look back to last year, what are some of the lessons, or it could be just one lesson, that you've brought with you from the 25 season to get you ready for 26?
Well, I think first and foremost, every season is a different one. I think different teams take on different personalities, and I think that's probably the main thing I've learned even over my whole coaching career is that don't expect it to be the same if it went well or not so well either way. So that's number one. But number two, we had 20 new guys last year, and 12 or 13 of them were freshmen because I had an older group before that. I think we graduated like 15 guys that had been with me for a long time. And so I knew there was going to be some learning moments and really just kind of teaching them and about our culture and mentality that it takes, those intangible things that you have to have every training session, every game, in order to give yourself a chance to be successful. So, and I think our group has done a pretty good job of that so far. And that year was a learning moment of probably patience for myself, but yet still being demanding.
Have you ever had a year where you have had to be as patient or understanding as a coach like it sounds like last year was?
I mean, other than probably my first 2 years when I took over the program, just because you're changing some things over at that point as well. But I think it will be something that a lot of coaches have to deal with, no matter what level you're at, just because of the nature of the NCAA and kind of what we're all dealing with in all sports. And players are coming and going, and until they're really here on campus, you don't know if they're all going to be here, depending on what's happening.
What is that landscape like? I mean, I know that a lot of folks may gravitate toward their top sport, like a college football, since we're getting into that season, and they may understand about portaling and all this kind of stuff. But what is it like for you and for Mercer and for your fellow coaches to have to dance through this as well? And just, it's like, okay, yeah, someone's supposed to be here, but you can't necessarily bank on it no matter how much they tell you. And then it could be where they move on. What's it like having to navigate this landscape?
Well, I think it is becoming harder and harder to navigate. And I said this to someone the other day, like, it's almost like our job has become general managers now instead of head coaches, and which obviously entails a lot of different details in that regard. But I think you have to keep up with what is going on and how these rules are changing. And I wouldn't say necessarily embrace it, but understand them and then try to work within them. And if you don't, and then you're not willing to adapt, or you want to kind of be stuck in your own ways, I think that sometimes you can go down to an unsuccessful path. So just trying to understand those rules, trying to figure out what would work. And at the same token, I've been a big believer, and I'm not going to give up our principles of what the program has been built on. We're going to continue to keep doing that. Unfortunately for us, we haven't had many kids transfer out that have played a lot of minutes. I think that has to do with our school's a really good school. We've been successful. They've had good experience. We've got good facilities, things like that. But I mean, it's going to come, it's going to happen. So you have to, and you can't take things personal, I think, as well.
And at the same time, you look at the roster makeup, and it's here for the most part, save a couple of European players and those that are based in Canada, and I think one from Washington State. You've got the Southeastern footprint, so they know what the university means. They know what SoCon means to the landscape. So you have players who are coming in as student athletes from high school or from transfer and what have you. They know what to expect when it comes to Mercer / SoCon / the Southeast and college soccer.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the reasons, and listen, I'm not from the South. I've been here obviously 19 years, but when I first interviewed for Mercer, I had no idea kind of where it was at and all that and what the South entailed. But one of the reasons I took the job was because of Atlanta. You know, Atlanta has a lot of talented players. I wanted to build it around Georgia kids, and we certainly have gone into Dallas a few times as well and gotten a couple kids there. And I'm a big believer in it, and there's no right, wrong way of doing anything. It's just what you believe in and how you want to stick to it. And I felt like we've done a really good job of sticking to that. And I do agree with you. I think like they understand the teams that they're playing, and we always talk about you want to play for the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey. Like this is Mercer University. And it's been successful. It's a proven model. It's been successful, and we're going to continue doing that. And of course, we're going to sprinkle in a kid here and there that might be outside of that. But if you've looked at all my rosters in 19 years, at least 75 or 80% of them have been Georgia kids.
When you're recruiting internationals, I'll use the word interesting. How interesting is it to be recruiting internationals and recruiting them on Macon / Atlanta and the Southeast and the educational aspect of it? Because when we caught up with Coach Economopoulos, it was the same kind of thing. It's like, yes, I'm bringing them to Mercer because of the academic part, but there's also, big city here, you go to the beach here, big city here. So there's different elements in it, and you're kind of like in the middle of all of those things. If a student athlete wants to experience one thing one direction, one thing another, what's it like recruiting internationals?
Well, I think it's obviously attractive. You know, you're close to Atlanta, which is obviously a major city and major airport. You got Savannah and even Tampa and Florida areas. There's some areas there. So I think it's attractive to them. But for the most part, too, the internationals actually, they are very serious about their academic work as well. And obviously, not everybody can just get into Mercer. So you're looking at a kid that is serious about that, which is really, really important to me. I think if you're going to be a successful player, you need to be successful off the field, being a good person, being a good student, because those things are shortly turning into being a good employee, employer, and maybe a husband or a father at some point if that's what they choose. So, I think maybe I'm still living in the old school world where I believe that's still part of my job, but I'm always that's what I believe in very much. And we teach those moments. Of course, we're competitive and we want to win as much as possible. And I think some internationals, when they see that, they're like, this is going to be a great experience for them. So I think they understand our culture. And I've had some come in and then they leave and they're still working here in the Southeast or in Georgia, and they come back to games all the time. And that's important to continue to stay in touch with the program.
And you mentioned that, and two of your assistants, your new assistants, get to come back and be in touch with the program. What was it like bringing two former players back to be assistants who know what your expectation level is, and they can be those, translators, for lack of a better word, to the younger student athletes? What's it like bringing back players to be a part of the circle?
Yeah, well, I brought three of them back. So we have Fernando Ortega, Carlos Santamaria, and then Dylan Gaither. And I've always been a believer, and if you've looked at my staffs over the years, it's typically somebody I've known for a long time or somebody that has played for us. And I think that's important because we are demanding, and I think they can relate to that with those kids. Hey, he's not doing anything else that he didn't do to us, and look how we turned out. So I know that seems pretty elementary, but they also know how I work and how we do things, and certainly I'm looking for them to bring new ideas to it because I want their opinions. but as soon as we walk out that door, they obviously understand those expectations. So I think it's super important. And, all of our assistants, I think we have 3 active Division I head coaches that have been assistants here. And we have another one that's in the USL Championship as an assistant, and then another assistant that moved on to a Big Ten school. So I think our program's pretty well respected on the outside, and they know they're going to work hard. And part of that is I also give them responsibility, but I also hold them accountable to those roles, because every role matters. All of our roles are different, but everyone is just as important or as equal as anything else.
What's it like having the coaching tree develop that way, that you're seeing other conferences and USL Championship? What's it like to see the coaching tree kind of fan its branches out like that?
Well, I'll be honest, that's a pretty cool moment for me, and it's a proud moment, and I speak to all of them. And I think it's a thing that it's just a good sentiment to our program, that we've worked hard, but also you were successful while you did it, and you got rewarded at the end of the day. And to hear their stories and see them be successful and move on to bigger and better things, like I couldn't be prouder of that. I mean, obviously Ricky Davies, the last one that left, and he just left probably 2 weeks ago, and he's thrown to the mix. We haven't actually touched base. We tried to touch base yesterday, but we missed each other. But that's it, one coaching, and I expect him to do great things. And I was totally fine. We try to help them move on to better things, because even though, like, hey, that might have put us in a situation, but it's not about us, or it's not about me. It's, individually, it's about them, and making sure that they're getting all the things that they want in life and in their job.
For someone who doesn't know, and they may have cursory knowledge of the big conferences when it comes to the NCAA, and then there are the Go Fours and the Go Fives, the group ofs and the mid majors. How would you describe how upside down and crazy the SoCon can get when it comes to conference play?
Yeah, it's a good league. It's a really good league. It's been a competitive league over the years. I think we entered it in 2014. And to be honest with you, it made me think, like, because obviously I knew we were getting in it, and I knew Furman and Greensboro and some of these other teams. And it made me, I think, step up to another level, whether it was coaching and recruiting, and the players as well step up another level because of the history that it's had. And obviously we saw the runs that Furman and Greensboro have had over the years, and we've been in the NCAA tournament, 5 of the last, whatever, 8, 9 years. And so it's a dogfight, and I know every coach says that conference games are, but I think once they get into when you get into these national tournaments, I think, 2 years ago we went and tied North Carolina. We beat South Florida. We've beaten good teams, and they've beaten good teams. So it's not, to me, it's not a surprise. I think soccer, of course, the landscape, when some of these teams, or a lot of these bigger power teams, have more scholarships than us now. It always used to be that everyone was in that 9.9 range, right? And now you're getting teams that are at that 15, 20, maybe even 25 scholarships. And it is getting a little bit more unfair, but you can use it as an excuse, or you can just get out there and fight and compete and get after it. And you know what? We may only be able to play 12 players, and they can play 18. So be it. So, and that's kind of the attitude and mentality I think a lot of the teams take in our league.
What have you learned about yourself in the preseason so far?
I've become more patient as a coach just throughout my entire career, but not less demanding. And, and I think I've learned that our team, we can be good. We can be a very good team this year, but we're still figuring things out. We're only 7 days in. We've had 2 preseason matches. One went pretty good. One, there were some positives, but there were some negatives in there that we got to clean up. But it's also against a team that's been in together for 7 weeks, because they were there for the summer and we were not. So those are that we're trying to get. Also, and I think 26 on our roster. I think we have 13 new players. So again, and I think 2 or 3 of them are transfers, and it's like 9 freshmen. So I'm a big believer in freshmen, but it also takes some time for freshmen to understand the demands physically, meaning how much ground they have to cover. I think our game is getting faster and faster even at the professional level, and how much ground you have to cover and how fast you have to cover it. And it takes some time to figure that out.
When you're in the preseason and you're still learning what your freshmen can do and your transfers can do and integrating them with your upperclassmen, do you set yourself up so they can troubleshoot on their own on the field in play, or do you just want to sit there and it's like, okay, I want them to understand our way of thinking, and then I'll have them troubleshoot, in real time someplace else? How do you handle preseason?
I think it's a lot of teaching, coaching, which it has been the last week. And the games, like, no, I'm not joysticking it, but I am definitely making comments as needed. And there are some moments where, like, all right, hey, these next 5-10 minutes, maybe not say much and see what we can figure out and how we can figure it out. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be on the field, but I'm also going to make sure that they understand that these are our base principles. This is our identity. I think any good team has a team identity. And our identity, I think, is pretty prevalent over the years on what we try to do. And you might have a few tweaks here and there, but so I think it's a common. I think early on, it's a lot of joysticking, coaching, teaching on the practice field. When you get to the games, maybe, okay, a little bit more in the first game, a little bit less in the second game. And then, we have one more on Friday morning. So we'll kind of try to put some things together a little bit more. But we're having a better understanding of what positions we feel the personnel can fit the best, because we're still trying to figure out a system, figure out which personnel works the best, and maybe some kind of rotations off of the bench in certain.
I was going to ask, so it's breakfast with Stetson on Friday morning.
Yeah.
What do you, in this one, since this is the last one before they start actually counting and FAU comes on the 20th, if my math is right, what do you want to see out of Friday morning? By the time you hit the lunch line right there off of campus, what do you want to see with that match once it's over with Stetson Friday morning?
Well, I think, and again, I think, which is a big word, I think we have a good idea of what system we want to kind of move forward with, because we've done a couple different ones and different shapes and things like that. So I think we'll go with one that we feel that we're the best in, and we will still lack a few pieces in that, but we're going to try some other guys, whether it's due to injury or getting NCAA eligibility. So I think we need to feel good about the system that we're in, number one. We still have a few decisions to make, probably anywhere from 2 to 3 decisions on who would be a starter in certain areas. So I think we need to figure that out. And then ultimately, as a team, how do we bounce back, from maybe not a so-called good performance the last exhibition, because it's a season, right? Like you're going to have some setbacks, and just like I told him last night, we'll be back in Macon, Georgia, late tonight, and tomorrow morning the sun's up and we get back to work. And the good thing is we're still 0-0-0, so just like everybody else. And so I think in getting a little bit fitter. This heat is brutal. But we have to deal with it because we're going to be playing in it early. So I think a lot of those, just kind of wrapping up some final things.
And we can't wait.
But to be honest with you,
Yeah.
there is so much to get in.
Oh, yeah.
And that you have to prioritize, because you don't have all the time in the world to get it all in. So we're really trying to prioritize maybe what are the 3 or 4 things that we need to get in and we need to be really good at.
And we'll be keeping an eye on it. Breakfast with Stetson. Breakfast with Stetson on Friday morning. So I guess technically, are you going to call it breakfast at Betts or brunch at Betts? I mean, I'm thinking out loud. I'm trying to, get folks in the door, and I want them to. Is it an open door thing where folks can come over and see what's going on over at Betts at 10 o'clock on Friday morning?
Oh yeah, it's open, and it would be great if we can get some people there. It'd be awesome to see some people.
So it's 10 o'clock Friday morning at Betts. Stetson comes to visit Mercer, and then around the corner on the 20th, season openers, FAU comes to town. Coach, it's great to see you. Thanks for peeling back the curtain a little bit and giving us the education as you get ready for another crazy season in the SoCon. Thanks for dropping by, and come by anytime. We'll be keeping an eye on things. We'll see you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
And there we go. And where's my camera? Come on, John. Where's your camera? And where is it? Guests, things. Here we go. Show camera. That's what we're looking for. There it is. All right. So that is the rundown at Mercer. Once again, brunch at Betts tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, as Stetson comes to town. And it's the last exhibition match for them before they get all dolled up. And FAU comes to town on the 20th to start the regular season. All right, let's put a bow on everything this morning. And remember, bottom of the hour, top of the hour, it is the media match, the 73rd annual media match with Atlanta United personalities and front office folks from the team itself. Let me go through the rosters one more time. Your managers on the day, Greg Garza and Brad Gazan. I will probably be sticking microphones in their faces, and we'll see what happens. But once again, Team Garza has all the SDHers. Nick, Maddie, and Sophia are on Team Garza with Felipe Cardenas, Reggie Chapman, Chris Cole from Channel 46 here locally, David Hickox from Channel 2. They broke up Hickox and Allison Mastrangelo, by the way. Juan Jordan from Sports Venezuela, Chris McCulley from Channel 46, Joe Patrick, Five Stripe Final, Jackson Popkins, Scarves and Spikes, Victor Prieto from Fox 5 here in Atlanta, Gilberto Ramirez from Estadio Sports, Joey Rogers from Channel 46, Jesus Saez from Univision, head coach of the Twos, Jose Silva, Dave Williamson from Iconic Magazine, and the Zamarons, Daniel and Mia from La Mejor. That is Team Garza. Team Guzan, Elsa Barrio Nuevo from La Mejor, Pablo Borges from PP12, Juan Carlos Brando from Conexión Deportiva, Georgia Chambers from WAGA, Andrew Clark from ISI Photos, Cody Dallas from Channel 46, Rafa de los Santos from Fox 5, Yusti Diaz from Univision, Yvette Gaona from La Mejor, Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game. So you'll have Maddie on Team Garza. You'll have Abe on Team Gazan. Chris Henderson is paired with Abe Gordon. Beat 2, 3, 4. Connor Hines from Atlanta News First, once again, Channel 46. Sam Jones from Five Stripe Final. Danilo Leonardis from Conexión Deportiva. Allison Mastrangelo from WSB. Tyler Pilgrim, Scarves and Spikes. Jose Prosopio from Latin Goles. Lee Smith from Channel 46. And Julian Virgin from WABE FM 90.1 here in Atlanta. Once again, that one is at the top of the hour, atlutd.com/live. And come and be prepared to heckle online. So it'll be fun. All right, let's get through what else is going on here today. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to you by our friends at Fanati, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important, helps them out, helps us out, helps you out with all your things. If you're looking to add to a part of the world that you might not have had the chance to watch, you get to do that with Fanatis. You get a lot of the South American leagues, both A and B divisions. You get ties to Tigo Sports, ties to CATV. You get Libertadores, Sudamericana, which are going on right now. And you also get TVV out of Venezuela, unless you already have a cable system that has it as a part of their Spanish package. Then you have a CDO Plus out of Chile. You have Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You have Teisei out of Argentina, and all the BNs. When I mean all the BNs, I'm not kidding. You get all the BNs, which means that you could have been watching WAFCON, and we know who the final is going to be on the weekend. Malawi and Cameroon. Malawi, distant, just sprinted past and out-physicaled Algeria, and the Cameroon match was not the same. Cameroon gets the win in PKs, and the Cameroonian keeper saved 4 of the 5 PKs that she faced in the match, including the last 3 in the penalty kick shootout. So Malawi and Cameroon for your WAFCON final. That's coming up this weekend. You also get AFC, you get AFCON, Champions League, all of your World Cup qualifiers, regardless of age group. And on BN, also you get the Portuguese League, the French League, the Turkish League, and the Polish League. You get all that on BN at fanatisfntz.co/soccer down here. So, Sudamericana tonight, 6 and 8:30 on BN en Español. Santos and Macará and Cienciano and Botafogo. FS1 has Leagues Cup at 10:30. It is Portland and Tijuana. We mentioned BN simulcasting Sudamericana. Fox Deportes has the league we don't talk about at 2 o'clock. TUDN and Unimas simulcasting the late Leagues Cup match. All five Leagues Cup matches are on Apple TV. Europa League qualifying is on the Plus at 2:30 and 2:45. Fox O&E has the league we don't talk about, and they have 2 matches at 2 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus simulcasting one of those. One Football has 6 of the Conference League matchups starting at 12:30. Jablanek is at 12:30. Raków Czestochowa out of the Polish League is at 1. Inter Turku is at 1:30. St. Gallen and Sheriff, our friends out of the questionable republics, 2 o'clock. Austria Vienna and Beitar Jerusalem at 2:30. Shelburne and Ajax at 2:45. Paramount Plus has the Central American Cup, and that is at 8, and 2 matches at 10. Alianza is at 8. Marathon is playing Antigua at 10. Firpo and Dirianjan is also at 10 o'clock. And if you go and look, UEFA Conference League qualifying today has like 98 matchups attached to it. I'm not kidding. They have amazing amounts of qualifications. So Europa League qualifiers starting at 3 o'clock. They have 3, 6, 9, 12 matchups in Europa League. And then in qualification for Conference League, good Lord, it is everything from 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, our time, where it's a Tobol out of Kazakhstan and Partizan Belgrade. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 25 matchups going on today in Conference League. So all of you true sickos, if you want to watch, you can do that starting at 1 o'clock local time, Eastern time U.S., and it goes all the way through, 2200, which is 10, which is 5 o'clock our time. So 5 to 7 tonight. You got a lot that you can hang out with. The St. Gallen Sheriff Tiraspol listed as a Moldovan squad. So Sheriff Tiraspol is listed as Moldova, even though there are republics and nations that lay claim to that particular strip of land, and that's a story in and of itself. So 25 Conference League qualifiers, and it is a dozen Europa League qualifiers starting at either 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock this afternoon. So 37 matches involving European qualifications. That is going on today. Some of them are on One Football. Probably a lot of them are on FIFA.com, so you can go and watch there at wherever you want to consume all of your activities in a multi-screen experience on your afternoon. Thanks once again to our friends at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. All right, so we mentioned what happened in WAFCON, and we now know the final there. And other news that you need to kind of keep an eye on, Chicago Stars in the NWSL, they let go of their head coach. And so they are now going to be working on climbing out of the bottom of the table in the NWSL. And you have, let me just get the headlines here. So parted ways with Marin Sjogren and assistant to Anders Jakobsen. The club sitting in last at 4-13-1. Assistant coach Karina Baez in her 3rd season. Former head coach at Pumas Femenil takes over as the interim. Former Stars coach Lauren Donaldson returns as interim director of coaching. Nicole Lukic, most recently head coach of Spokane Zephyr, joins as a full-time assistant. U17 women's national team, they open up their Fayetteville camp tonight against Mexico down at the Arthur M. Blank National Training Center. That matchup is at 5 o'clock. Jason will be on the call on the U.S. Soccer YouTube channel. Canada and Chile are also in town for this camp. Ciara Krinian is going to trim the 24-player group to a final grouping of 21 after the matches. Vancouver has signed midfielder Alexis Svetkovic from Serbian club OFK Beograd to a U22 contract through 29-30 with an option for one more. Posted 7+9 in 73 appearances over the last 2 seasons. And we'll keep an eye on that move as well. So Romelu Lukaku has completed his move from Napoli to Fenerbahce. Atletico de Madrid has agreed to a deal on Cuti Romero. Zlatko Dalic has been named the head coach of the UAE. And Celta de Vigo has had to push back their start because they've got to work on their infrastructure, their grass is in bad shape, the field is in bad shape, and so they've got to rework that and get that squared away so they can start their season at home. Chelsea has apparently set a Friday deadline for the bids on Enzo Martinez, and they're looking at $120 million. Enzo Maresca is interested over at Manchester City, but the big thing is they think that with the fees that they'll be getting on sales, and Tiani Reinders has now been added to that mix, they think that they can get close to that 120 when it comes to the outbounds, so they can take that money and in turn get Enzo Fernandez and bring him over to Manchester City. Your trending rumors: Arsenal are open to letting Martin Zubimendi leave after signing Bruno Guimaraes, with Chelsea emerging strong candidate to sign him, according to our friends at Team Talk. Gunners aren't desperate, according to ESPN, to offload the 27-year-old, and the price tag is in the neighborhood of £77 million, having signed him for around 60 last summer. Zubimendi is viewed as a good fit for Chelsea and their boss, Xabi Alonso, particularly attractive option if Enzo Fernandez ends up leaving Stamford Bridge. Chelsea joined Crystal Palace, Liverpool, and Manchester United, looking at Monaco midfielder Lamine Camara, according to Foot Mercato. They've already seen Magnus Akliush join PSG. Valerian Balogun has been linked to Spurs. And so now they're looking at what they can do with the rest of that roster. So the €50 million valuation for Kamara would need to be met, and Chelsea would have to offload one or two midfielders before making a move. Liverpool remain in negotiations with PSG to reach an agreement on Bradley Barcola. According to Florian Plettenberg, Reds are confident they can complete the deal for the 23-year-old who did not make it on the pitch for the Super Cup win over Aston Villa. Rio Ngumoha is likely to be predominantly used on the right if Barcola joins. As Reconso would find a move to Arsenal attractive, Villa fighting to keep him, according to Football Insider. And he's been linked with Premier League champs, who will be without William Saliba for some time after he suffered a back injury in the World Cup. Jurrien Timber missed the tournament with a groin injury. Konsa has 2 years left on his deal at Villa Park. Liverpool midfielder Curtis Jones, a priority for Internazionale. They believe a deal could be completed for €35 million. According to Fabrizio Romano, Serie A champs need to offload David Frattesi first. Juve a possible destination. Julian Alvarez, Diego Simeone met ahead of Atleti's training session yesterday to discuss his future in the first meeting that they've had since all of this stuff has been going on. Atleti also reached an agreement to sign Guti Romero from Spurs, potential $46 million according to the four-letter, fixed €35 million, potential another $5 million in add-ons to sign the Argentine international. Galatasaray made a €45 million bid to sign Gabriel Martinelli from Arsenal, available for several months, as they're looking to upgrade the left side of their attack. Now, rumors. Villa looking at Juve striker Jonathan David as an alternative to Nico Jackson. Bianconeri want Joshua Zirkzee. That's from Calcio Mercato. Four-letter paper. Brighton midfielder Carlos Baleba is on Newcastle's list of options for the summer. Sky, a Mauro Riccardi update. Lazio have been in contact with the free agent. A deal is difficult to complete because of his salary demands and other factors. Villa offering Bayern Munich a loan move for Joao Palhinha, including an option to make the deal permanent, but Bayern rejecting that idea. They want an immediate permanent transfer. That's from Florian Plettenberg. Nicolas Schira, Marseille and Hull have shown an interest in Juve center back Federico Gotti. Athletic, David Ornstein. Villa have held talks with West Ham about signing Aaron Wan-Bissaka for £25 million. Gazzetta, negotiations with Roma and Porto for Rodrigo Mora have become difficult due to Andre Villas-Boas making new demands regarding the obligation to make the deal permanent. Nicolas Schira, Lazio have reached an agreement in principle with Andrea Pinamonti for a contract running through 31, pushing for a deal with Sassuolo. Philip Heinz, PSV Eindhoven, plus Premier League and La Liga and Saudi Pro, interested in Leipzig defender Lutz Shuttlegear Truida. Tom Bogert, FC Cincinnati, have rejected an initial offer from Hull of 15 plus 5 in add-ons for Kevin Denke. Could be more offers. Nicolas Schira, Monza, Sassuolo, Udinese have all asked for information on Juve center back Daniele Rugani. And Bologna don't want to include Juan Cabal in their deal with Juve for Jean-Luc Umi, but they are interested in a standalone loan. Say that 10 times fast. Standalone loan. All right. Also on the board quickly, there is a quick note about the possibility of Joseph Martinez going to Columbus. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. Once again, remember, top of the hour, atlutd.com/live. It's the media match. Team Garza, Team Gazan, see your favorite media people stumble and fall, and no Jarrett Smith and we'll see who can take the Jarrett Smith role this year when it comes to anything and everything. So, B. Wilzer, good to see you. Glad to have you here. Gabe Schrei, glad you were in here this morning. And also to everybody else that was in this morning. I saw Abby, and I saw, it's just, all I want is just to go up. That's all I want. I don't think I'm asking for much. So, anyway, try to hide things, and it's not going to let you do it. Anyway, so thanks to Alex, thanks to Abby, thanks to all of you in here this morning, B. Wilzer and Gabe and all of you. So we're going to go outside. We're going to sweat half hour from now. It's going to be the media match, atlutd.com/live. Since it is the end of the show, that means one thing. Thanks to Brad Ruzzo and our friends at Mercer, and thanks to all of you. Back at it again tomorrow. Diego Pezzolano is going to be joining us. We'll have the highlights from Leagues Cup and all the colleges. Get you ready for the weekend. It's be Diego Pezzolano from Apple and Football de Primera. Possibly Michael Parkhurst or Greg Garza coming off of what we see today. Danny Higginbotham set to join us at 10:15, and we get the weekend set for you on a Friday. And then the twos are back here Friday afternoon, 3:30 pregame, 4 o'clock kick as they take on Red Bulls 2, and they're quoting Nick, Briss. End of the show. That means one thing. We get to do this. See you in a half hour.